Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Liquidation or Liquidator Live with Dan and myself. Oh, I got to meet here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of selling liquidated items on the big three. We're going to focus on Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, and there's a couple of news with both of those with Amazon and eBay specifically. We have some news that has been sending ripples across the reselling network. We'll talk about those, as well as how we've been doing this week on reselling those specific items. And as always, leave a comment down below. If you're not watching live, leave a comment about the episode. If you have questions, love to hear how you're doing. And as always, Dan from Liquidation Pros is here. His channel will be down below. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, because we alternate between both of our channels. And Dan.
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Dan Cal here with Liquidation Pros, and excited to talk tonight about which platforms you should consider when selling your items. As Chris said, we're going to talk about the main three that we both use. I'm fairly new to Poshmark and kind of not loving it yet, but we can talk about that later. And then in another episode, we're going to talk about the whole other aspect of the local game. But for now, we just want to talk about when you get your liquidation items, the pros and cons of which three online platforms that we would sell on. With that, Chris, how's the past week been? We didn't get to chat much throughout the week. How are your sales? Any updates or stories or anything cool like that?
So my closeout wholesale sports merchandise mainly is kind of what I've been dealing with recently. My NHL shorts have been have the most views going on. They're brand new, still in the package. So I've sold a bunch of NHL shorts. I bought a bunch of MLS Crew shorts, Columbus Crew or MLS merchandise. Typically doesn't do well on eBay or the internet. I do really well with it locally. I actually had someone come by last night, picked up Facebook Marketplace purchase. He bought a pair of shorts, shirt I thrifted, and a pair of socks that I bought from ASD. So socks and shorts from ASD, shirt from thrift. And actually, the shorts that have been selling pretty well for me, I contacted the supplier that I met from ASD, and I bought out the rest of his NHL shorts. So that's kind of the update of the wholesale selling. What about you, Dan? Anything?
I mean, still selling off the shoes pretty well from the pallet of shoes that I got. Pretty much most of all the name brand tennis shoes are gone. I still have a bunch of boots that some are listed, some I'm waiting that were in storage, but in general right now I dropped a little bit on Amazon. I'm about 50% up month over month. Or I'm sorry, compared to this time last year, but I'm down around 30 on eBay. So overall, I'm still up for this year. But eBay, I'm seeing, which is interesting because at this point last year, I had less dollar amount, less inventory listed. Right now, I have the most inventory I've ever had on eBay, and I'm seeing lower sales. Part of that could be we still have a lot of winter stuff that was being listed. I'm fine with that selling next season. As I get it, we'll prep it and get it listed. I'm not going to put the eBay stuff in storage because I store that here anyway. But now that I'm rolling into, I just had a pallet of, I bought last winter, the end of last summer, I bought a pallet of shorts and summer wear, and we're processing all that now. Luckily, everything was bagged and prepped, so it's just a matter of getting everything, decide where it's all going. Most of it will be Amazon. Some of it is going to eBay, though. So working on that. I did have from the DJ equipment, I had a couple sales, and one of them was a $225 mixer board. So that was pretty sweet. So far, I've got like $440 of that investment back. And that I don't even have half of it listed yet. So I have a lot of work to do there as well.
That was going to be my question. Are you profitable on the DJ and shoes yet? Are you in the plus?
No, the shoes I probably have another, I'd say, I think it's around like another $700 or $800 to go. The DJ stuff we just kind of started on. I got that around the same time as the shoes, but the shoes were so overwhelming and took up so much space. The DJ stuff got put on the back burner to process that. So we just started getting into that last week. But I did initially get a couple of the listings up for merchant fulfilled, and everything I've sold so far has been merchant fulfilled on Amazon, which I don't normally do. But since they were like new open box, I wouldn't necessarily get the buy box anyway on Amazon. So I decided to try merchant fulfilled for that stuff, similar to what you do with your used electronics. And then I'm still working that big sporting goods paintball order. Everything's moving forward. I'm fully approved to be a distributor, and I can sell Amazon, eBay locally. And the list that I have, actually, there's about probably off the first closeout list, about 15 to 20 SKUs I'm going to go after. And then I can also buy from their main retail list. Not retail, but the stuff that's not closeouts. But I haven't gone through that whole list yet. So.
You said that shipment's coming in, the paintball list? You paintball pallet, is that coming in?
No, that's not. It's not even ordered yet. I'm still going back and forth with them.
Got it. And do they send emails with what's available?
Yes. Yep. And I'll have a video come out as well. I've used this program before, but haven't really had a need for it because, for one, I don't buy as much from liquidation.com as I used to. But there's a program I started using. It's called AMZ Analyzer, and I did actually do a film. I need to finish the intro for it and give more details on how to use it. But basically, you can take a huge, wholesale spreadsheet as long as it has a UPC or ASIN, and you can run it through, and it will give you the sales rank, what's your potential. Like I have my costs in there, so it'll tell me spit out exact profit margins and what the total profit is. It'll give you the keep a chart link, but if you hover it over, you can get the keep a chart pop right up in the window. So you don't even have to have a keep a subscription to look at the chart. So that saves you right there. It's pretty awesome. Dave completely redid it since the last time I used it. But like I said, I should have a video probably the end of the week over on my channel if you guys want to check that out. You can do a 2-day pass for $10. So I did that. And then today that expired. And then today they sent me their full retail list. And it was like, what was it? No, I'm sorry. It was 4,300 line items. So I went ahead and got the monthly subscription so I could run that.
It gives you sales rank, right?
Yeah, sales rank. Gives you the links. And of course, here we go. Gives you all the different links. Like I said, I'll do a video and detail it, but it's not for everybody. If you're looking at a lot of wholesale lists, a lot of liquidation lists that include the UPC, it's definitely a no-brainer. But if, like with liquidation.com not having a lot of UPCs now, I don't know how good it would be. But
and that's the cool thing about wholesale. When you get those emails saying, hey, there's this merchandise available, you're basically getting product without moving anywhere, which is great. You're able to order product, you're able to get it in and not move, which is awesome. Brand new product.
And just for a lot of people to know, this company I'm dealing with, the biggest margin they give you on an item is around 37% off the retail. By the time you do Amazon and PayPal fees, there's barely anything left. I'm finding more stuff in the closeouts because they're taking that and marking it to like 50 or 60% off because they want to move the product. The regular list, I'm not really seeing a whole lot, but I haven't gone through it all yet. But
and that's the thing you have to weigh, right? You have to weigh, okay, I'm getting stuff brand new. The margins are going to be a lot lower than thrifting. And you have to weigh, okay, how fast is this going to sell? Okay, I'm only making $3 to $4, but can I sell 1,000 units?
Right.
You have to look at, okay, can I move the volume to make it worthwhile? If that's something you're going to do, I think it's a great time saver because you're getting all that product and you can move it quick as possible versus buying a thrift store sweater. You're sitting on it for 3 months, you're making $100.
Yeah, and if I can pay $2 or $3 and make back 2 or 3, or let's say pay 5 and make back 3 or 4, I'm fine with that. But I wouldn't pay 25 to get back 2 or 3, or I wouldn't pay 15 to get back 2 or 3, because you're looking at a timestamp, a moment in time, and at that time you think it's a good buy. But how do you know that someone else isn't going to come in and lower the price, or they decide that they want to close that product line out and liquidate it. And then, there's too many variables. So you need to make sure you have enough. I tend to try to have at least like a 25 to 30% net profit on wholesale, which is really hard to get, but there are some deals out there.
Well, what if you could sell that item instantaneously, make $2 to $5 a unit, and sell it within a week? Would you continue to do it, or would you pass?
At what buy cost?
I mean, it's you're making $5 an item. Like $20 a unit, let's say, and you're making $5.
Yeah, I would probably do that. Because that's going to be 25%. So that kind of fits right in.
Right.
I mean, 25%, I normally like really dive deep. 30% and up, I'm like, okay, this almost, is a no-brainer as far as assuming it's a good product and it's a fast seller. You also got to consider, is Amazon on the listing or not? Most of the stuff I'm looking at, Amazon is not on the listing. Yeah. So that is definitely good. And then
definitely to pay attention to.
I think I'm going to do another video too, because I did get scammed on eBay, and that could be a separate topic, or we can cover it I'll do a quick I'll give you a quick idea of what happened now, and then I'll probably do a video about it. But basically sold a DeWalt flashlight and got a return for it, except I have automatic returns. They sent it back, and the light right off the bat, I was like, that doesn't even look like the one that I sell. And I went back and looked at pictures, and you could see mine was one that's made in China. This has a sticker on it that says "Made in USA." It's not even a sticker; it's kind of more like a engraved, manufactured like into the product. So I'm looking at the pictures now. I look underneath, and there's a engraving of somebody's initials, clearly used. I sold like new open box, and I go through and double check everything. I was like, I would have definitely saw that, especially when you're putting a battery on and off to make sure it works. And so they sent the return. I opened the case up with eBay, and like within a day, I sent pictures. I took pictures of what the original listing showed, and I took a picture of the product with the Made in USA sticker. And in my package, right in the bottom corner, it says Made in China, and there's no Made in the USA sticker on the flashlight. And within like 8 hours, they closed the case and sided with the buyer. So
with the buyer?
Yeah. It seemed like it was an automatic thing.
Did you appeal it?
I'm going to end up calling them. So I was thinking about doing a video and like documenting everything I did, and then when I call them, like videotaping me calling them and see what they say. That'd
be a great video.
Yeah. So
that hasn't happened to me. I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Normally if you call them, I've had this happen once or twice where you could clearly see in the pictures it was different, and they sided with me. So.
Well, I mean, given your feedback too, I think they would side with you, right? If you show pictures, and I think my personal opinion, call after 8 p.m. You're going to get the West Coast. You're going to get Utah. I've had better success calling after 8 p.m. Eastern.
That or if you can call them at like 7 or 8 a.m. because then it's the same scenario. Like
right,
the West Coast is still sleeping. I'm on the East Coast, and most people aren't calling that early. A lot of eBayers have full-time jobs and stuff, so I'll probably call them tomorrow. So I wanted to throw that out there because that kind of stuff does happen. You got to make sure you're buying it low enough to cover those losses if it does end up being a loss on my end.
Right. What was your buy cost on that flashlight?
They were, I think I got them for 12, and I was selling them for 30.
Nice. And you already made your money, I'm guessing. So this was
I had 13 of them, and one of my premium. I did like an unboxing of premium Amazon lot, and these are like open box returns from Amazon, and I think I had like 13 of them. So yeah, I had people buying 3 and 5 at a time. So I was wondering actually if I could have charged a little bit more. And then this person that bought a single one, once it got to them, they immediately, opened the case immediately, same day. And it's like, all right, come on. I tested these. I know the flashlight works. And they say defective. And then they send back a different light. So it's the old bait and switch. It happens.
Yeah. So it looks like Thrill the Hunt had an appeal. Same thing. They gave him a coupon. Tommy says, never do the auto ask. It looks like do eBay on eBay for Business on Facebook. I've heard eBay for Business on Facebook's a lot better than calling in.
Yeah, I guess I was hoping with the information I had, if I did the automatic appeal, if I appealed it in my account, you know, and I provided the information, it would save me from having to call them. But normally I agree with them. I would just call them, or I've heard of other people say message Facebook, eBay for Business, but
yeah,
typically I'll just call them. And like I said, the time that I call them, I normally can get right through. So it's not a big deal. You want to jump into the platform?
Yeah. So let's jump into Amazon. Let's start with Amazon, right? We're going to talk strictly liquidated items. They could be everything from brand new shelf pulls all the way through returns, right? So I know you had some figures on Amazon.
Yeah. So currently, or at least the last reporting was about 300 million active users. And what's interesting of that number, and that's monthly active users, that 100 million of those are Prime members. So, you know, 1/3 of their user base is subscribed to Amazon Prime. So
that's
I thought that was
think about, right? $100 at 100 million.
Yeah. So is it a billion?
Carry the zero.
You know, a couple things I had for Amazon is the brand new items, they sell fast if it's a desirable item. Anything in like within the 100,000 sales rank for most categories, you know, if it doesn't sell instantly, it's normally within a week or so if you have the buy box. So I like that aspect, that it sells really fast. One downside to that though is you got to wait 2 weeks to get the payment for that item. It's not going to be in that pay period, it's going to be in the following the payout. So
the other thing too is I don't buy liquidations or closeouts either from licensed merchandise. I don't buy them to put them on Amazon, right? That's kind of like the second tier for me. I want to make sure I'm ungated in it, and it's kind of the secondary tier that I'll look for.
Well, that's one of the things I have for negatives is the gating. Basically, for those that don't know, Amazon restricts sellers from certain categories until you can prove that you're either authorized to sell that product, like you're a distributor, or you buy from a licensed authorized distributor, or you've proven that through a track record of sales that they just will open that up for you to start to expand your business slowly. So they don't open up all the brands, but they'll start to notice more and more get opened up. So luckily for me last year, I got all the big clothing brands, and that's kind of when I changed my business model. When I got Nike, Adidas, you know, North Face, Patagonia. Once I got all those, which I'm also interested in athletic apparel, so it was kind of a no-brainer for me to start branching out into looking for those types of items in liquidation lots.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy things and I will test. If I buy strictly my closeouts and my licensed merchandise with the assumption I'm going to sell them on eBay and that's it. Now, if I know I'm ungated in, let's say, Reebok, I'll buy it, put them on eBay, and I'll throw them on Amazon just to say, hey, if it sells on Amazon, I'll take it. But 9 times out of 10, I buy stuff not strictly for Amazon.
You know, Scott's saying in the comments that he's approved for Adidas, but not Nike. I'm actually approved for Nike apparel, but not. I'm approved for some shoes, but not all shoes. It just depends. It's like hit or miss, depending on which ones I try. So I'm always constantly looking to see. And there, even for Adidas, there may be a few random things that, because you can be specifically gated on a product or an ASIN, which the ASIN is like a specific catalog index for that item. And that's what we can talk about too, is the difference. One of the big differences is Amazon is a catalog-based platform, whereas the other platforms are per seller individual line items. So you make your own catalog basically when you list the product. Amazon, you have to go onto their listing, and you're competing with other sellers based on pricing, location, if you're FBA or not, and what your seller standings, feedback, and ratings are.
Right.
So that's.
I don't know what you think. Source from Paradise asks, "What's the easiest categories to start with on Amazon?"
Honestly, it's going to be whatever. You're probably not going to be able to sell in grocery right off the bat. A lot of health and beauty is going to be tough. There's a lot of clothing brands that you will be able to sell in. There's a lot of smaller electronics, or I mean, pretty much I would reverse engineer that and say, what do you enjoy? What do you like selling? Are you more into pets, like pets or clothing, or, you know, I would take and try to find categories that you like the most and then see what you can sell and kind of go backwards from there. But I pretty much sold a little bit of everything, so I didn't have a specific category that I was going after initially. But now that I'm opened up to a lot of those in clothing, and like I said, in other shows, it's easier for help to process clothing than electronics and whatnot. Also, I found that I get a lot more new clothing and some in the closeouts, whereas some of the other products would have, per se, let's just say like a damaged corner, or the packaging could be messed up for electronic item or a health and beauty item. For clothing, if it's out of the bag but it's brand new with tags, you just rebag it. So it's kind of, that's a little bit of a gray area because it's not technically brand new from the manufacturer since you're rebagging it, but it's still technically new.
Tommy's saying home and garden is mostly ungated. I'd recommend just whatever you're selling, like for example, my sports stuff, I always look for, before I buy things, I check, am I ungated or not? And depending on the invoice you get, you could send it in. Most likely they'll kick it back if there's no UPC, or the title does not link back to the brand. So for example, I purchased my soccer shorts. Since Adidas and the UPC was not on the invoice, I tried to submit it and they didn't take it. And then I reached out to the supplier and I said, hey, I know I'm buying licensed merchandise from you. Can you just put the UPC and the title on there? He responded to me today and said, hey, we buy this under the condition that we do not sell on Amazon. So they would not give me the permission on the invoice to submit it.
Wow. Yeah, and so a lot of the to be an authorized retailer on Amazon, you do have to have the specific line item with the UPC. Any of the big bulk, you know, if you got something that says 500 items, 500 clothing, 500 pieces of Adidas, that's not going to be good enough to get accepted. You have to have every line item filled out, you know, quantity 10 or more for each one. So it's really tough now to get approved based on having a distributor list, unless you get someone like I'm dealing with now with the paintball stuff. That's going to be really hard to do because most of those guys already have a couple Amazon sellers and don't want to flood the market. They're also worried about MAP pricing, which is the minimum advertised price that you can sell against. They're worried about new sellers going in and going lower than that. They don't want to drive the value of their brand down. So there's a bunch of different things that you know, these distributors worry about with having new sellers when they already kind of have people. But the other side of that is you can go after newer brands. If there's a brand out there that you know you really like, or you know selling well, and let's just say the brand themselves is the only one on the listing, but they're not doing Prime. I've actually gotten a few deals this way by, you know, message them or cold calling them and letting them know what it is that I do. First of all, let them know if they have any issues with the returns. We could potentially buy those and, you know, and sell them. But then also that, you know, if they ever need help and want to start wholesaling their product, that we would be interested to buy in bulk and sell on Amazon.
And that's something to talk about too. If you're buying wholesale direct, like from ASD, you want to discuss, hey, do you have a MAP price that I have to honor? Because if you don't honor their MAP price, they'll pull you and they'll never sell to you again. So that's a good question to ask. But mainly with liquidation items, and when you're thinking about Amazon, you have to be really careful because you're basically either trusting that the item is what it is, and you're putting your account probably in risk, depending what type of item you're going to sell. So liquidation on Amazon, I would tread very lightly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only selling overstocks and closeouts, basically. I mean, there has been scenarios where I've gotten from liquidation.com and there's been, you know, 50 or 30 of the same exact thing in that lot. And when they get there, they're all mint, brand new, nothing wrong. They're not expired. That's up to your business model if you want to take that chance. But you just have to know that when they go asking you for proof of purchase, you're not going to be able to provide it because you don't actually have an invoice with the line item. You can't say, here's my invoice, which is just your purchase slip from liquidation, and then attach an Excel sheet that has all the items. That doesn't work. It has to be on that PDF with everything spelled out on there. So it just depends on what your risk level is. In most cases, if you can get the same amount of money on eBay, I'd rather play it safe and not screw my account up.
Sandy had a question about returns, asking about what she asked here.
Well,
how long buyers on Amazon have to return items? Can they withdraw the money from you and they pay you if the item gets returned later? So, Dan, correct me if you any different experience, but if you fulfill merchant fulfilled and you ship stuff out yourself, they can open a return and they have 45 days to return that item in. No, I'm sorry. They can return that item whenever. They just open the return. They have to send that item back to get credit for it. If it's FBA through their own warehouse, they have 45 days to return that merchandise to you. But the only issue is Amazon pulls that money out of your account. Within 45 days, if you don't get it back to the warehouse, you can close the return.
Yep. And I think the second that they ship it, so the first time it gets scanned, it automatically gets credited back to them. So regardless of what's in that box, they're getting their money back, and then you have to deal with it after the fact. That's one of the negatives I have, but it's also for eBay is the returns. I know everyone is, thinks or that a lot of sellers that are afraid of Amazon because the return process is so easy, is worried about that. I did run with just doing all of my tax stuff. For the year, I was at 6%, 6% dollar amount. So $6 for every 100 was returns on Amazon, compared to eBay where I was at 4%. So it is a little bit higher, but you're going to make up for that in sales velocity, and those items you can, in most cases, resell again on eBay to recoup your money.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I get so for the merchant fulfilled items, I'll get the return. I've had one open for over a year. Technically, they can still send it back, but it hasn't happened yet. So if it's FBA fulfilled, basically what I do is once I get the email, they deduct it immediately out of your account. I go into my calendar and I said, what's 45 days from now? Put that in my calendar, and then I will submit a case on day 45 and say I have not received the item. They'll close out the case and they'll give you your money back.
Right. And for me to ease the returns process, I have Amazon inspects the item. If it's in a resellable condition, if it can be sold, they will automatically relist it into my inventory. If it can't, I have it set up to be automatically shipped back to me at that point. So I don't have to go in and worry about recalling those returns. They just send it back whenever they make that decision. And then at that point, you can actually go through them. And if there is any fraudulent activity going on, you can appeal that. And I found that both are time consuming, appeal and return on eBay and Amazon. But I've found I've had more success with Amazon with getting my credits back. So like I have probably 20 returns piled up right now that I have to go through. And most likely I'll do that next week. I'll take like an hour or two and just go through, make sure everything is what it's supposed to be, and just make sure someone didn't like put a brick in one of the boxes and send it back. But
right. 9 times out of 10, if you're picking up thrifted items, the returns most going to be worth what, $2 or $3. So I wouldn't stress out about returns.
Yeah, and even just in general, the liquidation items, most times you're paying 10 to 20, maybe 25% of the value. So you've made up for it in the other items that you sold, and a lot of times, and I agree with you, it's not even worth my time to fight it. But if it's like a $200 jacket, North Face jacket or something that they try to rip me off on, I've had someone send back the same exact jacket, but the tags were missing and it had an ink pen that was exploded on it. So, I clearly fought that one, and I did win by showing them pictures and whatnot.
And then, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
Fees. You can talk about in general fees on Amazon are
pretty
high. So for me, like I said, just going through my numbers, I was at 35%. for my fulfillment fees, any kind of merchant fulfilled shipping fees, and then my Amazon selling fees. All those combined were at 35% of my gross sales. So there's plenty of room for margin there if you're only paying 20% for a new product.
Yeah, if you're merchant fulfilling, you're going to pay for the Amazon fees in addition to the shipping fee. I find it's a little lower if you're sending it to FBA. If you send a lot in, you can get a lower fee structure if you do it that way.
And then obviously we can talk about the value, and that kind of, we'll talk about the value on all the platforms. But in general, I feel like Amazon, you can get the highest dollar amount for the same item across all three. So especially if it's fulfillment, FBA. There are scenarios where you will see an item going for a little bit more on eBay than Amazon, but in most cases, I can get more on Amazon, and a lot of that difference makes up for the increase that I'm paying in fees and returns. So it ends up working out to be pretty close to the same as eBay.
But the overall thing too is once you're selling on Amazon for the sell-through rate, right?
Not only that, but the customer service, the shipping, the packing, the sell-through rate. You're using Amazon as like another employee compared to eBay or Poshmark. You're handling all those items throughout the entire process. Yeah.
So some things I list from Liquidation, and I do very few to Amazon. When I put them on Amazon, it's almost instantaneous. Yeah. So when I go through Liquidation, probably the top items that I put on Amazon are electronics. I will not list them as brand new. I'll list them as open box, like new or very good. But those probably the number one item I look to do from Liquidation to Amazon is electronics.
Yep.
Otherwise, if they're brand new with tags, I'll list anything. I'll list clothing if I'm ungated. I'll list home goods. Just always check everything. If they're brand new, check it.
And what's that?
Anything else on Amazon?
I think we hit everything. Real quick, a couple topics I had about Amazon is now they're making the sellers fix any variation listings. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but if you have an item, let's say I sell a shirt that has 5 different sizes, and for some reason, it's a really popular shirt, and they're selling, 50 a month, and it's in like the 10,000 rank. Well, let's say large is missing from that listing. It's out on its own, floating in outer space. That's been broken from the parent listing and needs to be merged back in. It used to be you send seller support a message, say, that ASIN, that variation needs to be merged back with its parent listing, and they would do it for you. Now they're saying that the seller has to do it. The problem is the only steps I've seen is if you're trying to add a new variation to a current parent listing. I haven't been able to find out how to add the child variation in unless you create a new listing and add all the existing variations, including the one that's floating out in outer space. So sometimes it might be a pair of shorts that have 4 different colors and 5 or 6 different sizes. You're talking like 30 different ASINs or UPCs you'd have to recreate and add. Whereas Amazon will be like, they can just take it and manually put it back in. So that'll be to be determined once I figure that all out, because that's a big problem for me. I've made a lot of money on buying products that look like they're really high rank, meaning they sell slow. But the only issue with it is that product isn't on the correct listing. And once you merge it back, you get it boosted up with it's a different color or something that's not selling well. You can get it boosted up the sales rank on Amazon. So I think those water bottles I had, the Brita water bottles, are a perfect example of that. I don't think too many people wanted them because they're like over 1 million sales rank. But what they didn't realize is the one main color, which is the parent listing, was at like 3,000 in sporting goods. So once I merged those back into the correct listing, the one day I sold like 20 of them in one day. So, and then I've also noticed that just this last week that Amazon took away the scan and ship function, which I liked. It was an easier, more user-friendly way to scan an item, label it, and then add it to a shipment. So it's kind of like I've noticed someone in the chat was talking about what was it? Inventory Labs. I'll have to check that out now because, like I said, Amazon, you could do that for free within their platform. Now you can't. So I'll have to investigate Inventory Labs and let you guys know what I think.
I've never used that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if you're you have to be doing pretty large amount of quantity to Amazon to make it worth it.
Yeah.
So I could probably do without it. I could probably do without it if I pay Amazon to do my labeling. So we'll see.
Tommy basically wrapped it up and said, fees are a no-brainer with sales velocity and time saved. I agree.
I agree with that too. You want to jump on eBay?
Yeah. So for me, listing liquidated items on eBay, that's no-brainer. Every liquidated item I get that is in that can be in sellable condition, eBay is the first place I put it.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. That's how I started. I started with eBay and grown into Amazon. But for me, it's going to be mainly like the open box, gently used items, or something that may be for parts or repair, or even we sell new in there as well. Going back to what I was talking about with the difference between the two platforms, and sometimes you get more on eBay. There's a pair of shorts right now. It's a what are they again? They're Eddie Bauer shorts that I have. That they're like 2 million on Amazon. They're like must not be known about. But if you go to eBay and check the solds, like 20 or 30 have sold within the past month or two. So for whatever reason, they're not being, so they're not ranking well on Amazon, but they're selling well on eBay. So I'm going to sell all those on eBay instead. So I do always check both, and each platform has its pros and cons, and that's why we're talking about this. But you'd always want to check both.
Yeah, eBay is probably my go-to. I will check Amazon if I'm ungated. If I am, I'll put it up there.
And I sold about evenly within like 500 items, 500 more on Amazon last year. So it was like, I forget the exact numbers, but that just goes to show you the only thing I sell on Amazon is brand new, except for these few electronics I just sold this past week. eBay is mainly going to be the open box stuff, and that's a lot of the liquidation items you're going to get are going to be open box.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
eBay has approximately 175 million active monthly users. So not quite half, a little higher, a little less than half of what Amazon's doing, which is still good. I mean, that is a huge customer base for anyone who's not selling on eBay to consider giving it a try. Like I said earlier, my returns on eBay last year were 4%. And then my total fees were 33%. So only 2% selling fees less than Amazon. I do a 1.5% promoted listings, and that includes all my shipping fees, my eBay store fees, my PayPal fees, and then any other fees associated with my eBay PayPal account. So it's not when you put everything together, it's pretty close to Amazon's fulfillment. If you consider all the different things that go into it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more work to sell on eBay with the shipping, listing, etc. You said earlier, pretty much nailed it, that said you're creating listings specific to that item versus
Yes.
Amazon. Everything's already, you're booking to their catalog.
When you have a lot of time associated with creating that listing, adding pictures and everything to make it, whereas Amazon you don't have that. What else was I going to say? A positive especially for newer sellers is you do kind of get, if you do the basic store or even like a medium-sized store, you do kind of get that storefront. You can generate a web store, or you could send links or send. I remember starting out and kind of thinking it's cool when someone asked me if I had the specific item, I could go in and here's my store, check it out. So I always thought that was cool that they had that store aspect, and you could get. You could actually get a website and have it linked to your eBay store. You could do that on Amazon as well. Amazon does have the storefront function. One of the cons I have written down was that the shipping is very cumbersome for new people. It's a lot to learn, a lot to figure out, and there's a lot of different theories and tips out there for shipping. So you just kind of have through trial and error figure out what's best for you.
I mean, we'll get into Poshmark, but look at that. I mean, Poshmark, you just print it and ship it.
Right.
eBay, you have to. When I first started out, you know, you have the whole beginner's mindset where you print it on paper, you cut it out, you tape it. Then you still have to figure out what's the right method. I got to measure it, ship it, FedEx, USPS, UPS. So there's a big, I think that's the biggest learning curve from eBay is shipping. Because even with Amazon, when you do shipping, it gives you the lowest price item based on dimensions and weight. It will still pick the most across, what, 3 different shipping providers. Whereas on eBay, you got to hope you click the right thing if you're new.
Yep. And then I feel like it's geared more towards, I mean, both platforms are, but as a seller, it's the buyer. It's more of a buyer. You know, their team is more focused on the buyers and not the sellers, in my opinion. They're doing stuff for sellers, but when we have like blatant issues, I feel like we shouldn't have to go through as much trouble as we do on eBay to get them fixed. That's one of my gripes with eBay. And then the fact of you are paying those fees, but then you also have to pay additional for marketing if you want to do promoted listings. You know, if you get a negative, that can drastically affect where you rank in their algorithm. And then, you know, you want to make sure you maintain top-rated seller. In my opinion, I've lost it once before, and for 3 months, watched my sales drop month after the month. So I try to maintain that top-rated seller. So I rank up higher for best match compared to other sellers.
Would you say that the learning curve on eBay is lower than Amazon?
Yes, I would say. I would say eBay would be the place to start. You know, at least you're going to learn all the details of shipping, more than you would need to know even for Amazon. And then when you're 6 months or a year into getting the hang of eBay, then you can start, you know, watching a Seller University videos on Amazon, or you know, taking in and watching all the videos for creating a shipment and stuff like that. Because there's a lot to Amazon too, but I feel like once you get Amazon, you can do a lot more. You can go through a lot more product. You can make a lot more money in less time if you get the hang of it. Whereas eBay, once you get the hang of it, you still have a lot of hurdles to jump through, and you know, a lot of listings to create and photos to take and all that stuff. So
so you want to touch on the con of the adjustments for eBay?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. I just got hit with one today, so I'm glad you brought that up. It was $9.24 shipping adjustment. You know, I can't fight it. I can't really do anything, but I guess I could try to fight it. But basically, they're saying I shipped an item in a priority rate B when I shipped it in an A, and the one was one of those DeWalt flashlights that are like, I don't know, I think they're like 12 inches by like 1, or by like maybe like 5 by 2. So they certainly fit in the A rate box. But that's kind of frustrating to me that they're able to do that, because it's basically their word against yours, but you don't have a word in it. You don't have a say in it. It just happens. So I feel like if they're gonna dispute your shipping label, that they should have a photograph or some kind of proof that shows that there's an issue. Because if you ever had one at Amazon, if you send in a 51-pound box, you go in there, it says there's an error with your shipment, it'll show you a picture of your box on the scale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was at one conference I spoke at, I was talking to USPS rep, and they basically said if you look at the regional A, regional B, the priority boxes, they have a little barcode on them. What they're doing is all their systems now are able to read the barcodes on those priority boxes, and they can tell if it's regional A, B, whatever. Well, just like you did, I sent a backpack in a regional B, and I sent a jersey in a regional A. Now, strictly USPS boxes, they claimed I used the opposite box for both of them. And I said, I haven't contested it yet. They say you can call the number. If you watch other YouTubers out there that have called and contested, they have not won. So I don't know if it's worth my time and effort to call them. Otherwise, just eat it and move on.
Yeah, and I guess I know what you're saying about the barcodes, but what's to say there wasn't another package like if the package wasn't like there was your package and another one that was a B on top of it, and as it came through the scanner, it picked up that other one, even though it was way in yours. I mean, who knows? There's going to be errors when you're shipping, thousands of items. There's going to be problems, but overall, it's such a small fraction. Just like the PayPal, the PayPal returns now that we have to eat that percentage, the 2.7%. It's just. It sucks, but it's just such a small fraction. Just another cost of doing business. You kind of just got to eat it. Otherwise, if you're going to gripe about all those things, you're probably not in the right business, because we're not in control right now. We're on their platforms. We're using third-party apps for everything. If you're so concerned about that and you have great products, maybe build your own site. And that's just kind of the way I look at it. And I've tried that. It's not as easy as it looks. Good luck driving traffic to a brand new website.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you got a couple $100,000 for Google AdSense.
And in that sense, what I'm going to take the majority of what I sell as polo shirts, right? $2 to $3 is my return fees, if that. If I have to eat $2 to $3, my return rate's under 2%. It's not worth my time to fret over. Just sell more.
You're the Poshmark king, so we can,
I would say king. Basically, Poshmark lives on my eBay listings. Anything I list on eBay goes to Poshmark. The one pro of Poshmark for me, and you think about liquidation too, or even closeouts. I know, Dan, you buy a lot of closeout merchandise. Poshmark is great because you tend to get a lot more profit per item. It's super easy to ship. You get an email with your label. As long as your item is under 5 pounds, you can ship in any USPS box, flat rate, regional, priority. Put it in the box, ship it. Tape your label, you're good to go.
What do you know what you're supposed to do with the? Cause I have a couple lots of clothing up, and I've sold a few. I've had someone try to order like 5 of them from me, but it would have put it over 20 pounds, and there's not an option. I couldn't find an option for like an oversized package. And then it didn't seem like I could buy, like I wish I could buy my own shipping and add the tracking to it. That would make, like, as another option, I guess is what I'm saying.
Like Mercari, where you can put, I'll buy my own label, and then you buy it once it sells. I know there's a process. You have to go buy additional shipping. I've never had to do it, so I never looked into it.
Yeah, so I've had to do that once. I've done the additional shipping, but there's no option for greater than 20 pounds. So I thought that was
really greater than 20?
20 was the cutoff, and it was like crazy high. I forget. I wanted to say it was like an additional $20 that I had to pay on top of what they paid for the original label.
Really?
Yeah, and then if it was the one I had that was it was like 10 or 12 pounds, I think was like 10 or 12 bucks more. So, but I mean, I knew that. My thing with Poshmark, I feel like if you're not very active on there, you're not going to do very well. If you're not like doing the sharing, if you're not constantly adding products, because when you do add products, it boosts it up, and then you get, likers and shares. But I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I think that when I have a little bit more steady help, I may have someone cross-post definitely any women's clothing I have on there, and probably men's too. But I feel like it's probably 85 or 90% women that are shopping on there. Not that they wouldn't buy for their husbands or boyfriends or whatever, but in my opinion, I think it's majority of women that are shopping. And the concept is I want to sell a few things to be able to buy a few more, buy some new stuff. And it's more of like a social, people are making friends on there and communicating on a daily basis. I read the one thing that said the average user checks the app 6 to 7 times a day and spends on average 25 minutes on the app. So they're not going on there and just looking for an item. They're going on there and seeing what's going on. They're socializing, almost like an Instagram or something like that.
To your point, I don't share at all on Poshmark, but I do list every day. So just like eBay, I list something every single day. Sources in Paradise asked, Do you streamline process to post from eBay to Poshmark? So what I do is when I start my listing on eBay, sell similar category, once I click import pictures, I go directly to Poshmark, hit sell in Poshmark, paste the titles, and go right down the list. It takes probably 3 minutes, if that, on Poshmark. And then once the picture's uploaded on eBay, I finish my eBay listing. So any piece of clothing, shoes, what else? Anything non-hard goods, basically non-video games, I cross-post everything to eBay. Everything to Poshmark, just because the amount of profit I get on Poshmark is a lot higher than eBay. So I will take the extra 3 minutes per item and put it up on Poshmark. I think I'm approaching 1,000 listings on Poshmark.
Wow. And going back to my stats, I didn't mention that there's on average about 4 million active daily sellers on Poshmark. So they're not a public company, so they don't have to report any of their customer information, whereas most public companies do. A lot of them have to do it when they're trying to raise money or when they want to go public. They did take some funding last year of the tune of $88 million, and I would say they are growing fast. I know definitely there's a buzz with Poshmark right now. I think they have a referral base where if you get a friend to join, you get a $5 or $10 credit. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it seems like they're doing everything they need to be doing to move up the ranks pretty quick. And I do think they're going to be a player in the clothing market. So that's just my personal opinion.
Scott says, selling clothing, which platform would you prefer, Poshmark or Mercari? Definitely Poshmark. If you can spare the extra time, I would definitely do Poshmark. But caveat, another con, if you're doing both, you have to be on top of it. I do one of two things. If something sells on Poshmark, I go and remove it off eBay. You have to go to end listing. If something sells on eBay, but I have to go on a computer to end the listing. If I can't get to a computer, what I will do is on my phone, I will go to the listing and I will up the price to whatever, $300 if it's a shirt or whatever. Some price that no one's going to buy it for. If someone happens to buy your item off Poshmark when you sell it on eBay, you can cancel it on Poshmark and not get a ding. If something sells on Poshmark, I have to make sure to cancel it or up the price on eBay. So,
and I agree with everything you're saying there. I have no gripes. I guess my biggest thing is the time for me right now. I don't have the time. I have to train someone else, and the staff I have can barely keep up with the inventory I want to move through. So I need to make time for that cross posting. But then my biggest concern is taking the items down and having that extra handle on that. But it's something that I've definitely, I have the account. I have a few items up on Poshmark. I sold a few, so it's probably going to be probably more of a thing next year for me after I see what kind of traction it gets, and we'll go from there.
Pro tip for me on that: I keep my title between Poshmark and eBay the same. I used to do random titles. I found if the title is the exact same, I can find the item. So sometimes I get a best offer on eBay and I say, did I not pull that off Poshmark yet? I'll go to Poshmark, and if it still exists in my Poshmark store, I know I haven't sold it yet. So I keep the titles the same. That helps me pair it up.
And as of right now, we don't know of any application that will do the automatic takedowns or the cross posting or anything like that. There's no paid apps yet. I think Poshmark's pretty tight with their not allowing you to overlay third-party apps, but I could be wrong.
As far as I know, yeah, there's no removable apps.
So, and then the last thing we would save for another show would be the local game. Your Craigslist, Facebook, OfferUp, Let Go, yard sale, flea markets, all that good stuff, and selling products there. We'll save that for another show. And I did get another comment in one of the, I think it was Marie that mentioned maybe we talk about kind of like our schedules and how we are able to manage a full-time job, families, running a business, and free time, vacations, whatever, and what that looks like. I thought that was a pretty good topic idea. And with that, we can include like at what point you want to consider hiring help, and because I know that's a pretty big topic. Actually, Pat Dees was asking how many employees I have. I have basically 2 helpers that work at least once or twice a week, and I have a third guy that kind of comes as needed. More so when I get shipments, he'll come over and help me, move more of like manual type labor, or like they'll also do labeling. If I have like 100 of the same item for Amazon, I'll have them label. But the 2 girls that I have pretty much can do all aspects of the eBay stuff, and then I handle anything that's going in my Amazon inventory. I make sure to look at that.
Yeah, we can probably do a whole show on when to expand, when to add people, when to scale. Because right there, once you start adding people, it's you're basically looking for volume at that point. You have to outweigh the help and the pay to offset the volume you're going to bring in.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think all 3 are great platforms. If I had to rank them, I'm going to rank them in the order that we just discussed them: Amazon, then eBay, then Poshmark. But that's just my preference on how I'm growing my business right now. You can, design your business any way you like. For the past 2 years prior to that, I was pretty much 50-50 or close to it. I'd alternate between eBay and Amazon, and I'm just starting on Poshmark, so that's not even really a factor right now.
I think Poshmark is good to have in your back pocket, just because if you do get a sale on Poshmark, it's more profit. But to your point, if I'm going to rank them in terms of sales velocity and the right type of product, Amazon's bar none is going to be the best one to go for, followed by eBay, Poshmark. In terms of beginner and things to look out for, eBay, you're probably going to have them, well, eBay and Poshmark, you're probably going to have the most leniency on those 2 platforms. So definitely start with eBay. For clothing, if you're going to do clothing, start with eBay, then cross-post to Poshmark. And then if it's brand new items, minus electronics, always look for Amazon. Always test if brand new is going to go to Amazon. If it's used electronics, go to Amazon and see what we can get for it. Because 9 times out of 10, Amazon's going to have the higher sell price for those electronics.
Yeah, and I'm glad you cleared that up, because I agree with you 100%. If you're newer or you're just getting started in liquidation, I would be selling probably 90 to 95% on eBay or eBay or Poshmark or locally, and maybe start to dabble a little bit with Amazon, but making sure you're 100% sure you know what you're doing and you're not breaking any violations, and you're getting your shipments created properly, putting the right labels on the product, sending in the right quantities. There's a lot more. I'm not gonna say there's a lot more rules, but there's a lot of rules on Amazon you do not want to break even one time, because they could shut you down if you do it once. If you make a mistake and ship an eBay buyer the wrong item, they're not going to suspend you for that right away. You just never know with Amazon what they're going to do.
Tommy's saying Shopify does Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and more, but Poshmark not yet.
Not Poshmark.
But to Dan's point, yeah, I would be highly, highly, highly skeptical of sending liquidation into Amazon unless you're 100% sure you're against all terms of service. But it's an item by item case. So,
and if you are newer and you have something you're considering and you haven't sent it, you can always reach out to either one of us.
Yeah.
We could at least let you know what our opinion would be based on your situation, or post it in Chris's Facebook group. I've started commenting on some stuff in there. The Liquidation OH Facebook. A lot of other great sellers in there that can help you out as well.
All right.
I think we covered it pretty good, brother.
Yeah, I think so. As always, if you guys are watching after the fact, if you have questions we did not answer, make sure you post them down below. All right, Dan, last words?
Closing words is just get out there, try to find some good products, and depending on which platform you want to sell them on, get them listed. But like me, don't be afraid to try something new. If you haven't tried Poshmark yet, or Mercari, or some of these other platforms that are up and coming, it may be worth at least trying. If it's not for you, that's not a big deal. You can continue doing what you're doing. But I would hate to, even for myself, I'd hate to sit here and say, oh, I don't want to do Poshmark because it's only women's clothing, but then come to find out next year that, you know, it ends up being 60% women, 40% men shopping for clothes on there. And I missed a big opportunity. So you want to try any of the big popular platforms, and you're branching yourself out. So if you did get shut down on eBay or Amazon, at least you know you'd have a check coming from Poshmark until you get that squared away.
Yeah. Yeah, don't, to Dan's point, don't not post on a platform just because. You're definitely missing out. There's a ton of things I sold on Poshmark that would have still been sitting in my eBay store. So definitely plan your time. We can have another show all on process and how to streamline it. But definitely take advantage of what's out there. So, all right.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys coming out to check us out. I think what we said this was number 6 show. So if you haven't caught any other ones, go back and check out the others. Great content that me and Chris are trying to help you guys out with.
Yeah, as always, make sure you subscribe to Dan's channel. Next week we'll be over on Liquidation Pros. It will be. I'll post in the description after this post, but make sure you subscribe to his channel. And yeah, we'll see you next week, Thursday, 10 p.m.
See you guys.
See ya.